Muy
Well,
bien.
good afternoon, my brothers and sisters. Today we're going to continue the journey that we started several weeks ago on reading volume 1 of the Book of Heaven. So let's continue reading. Sometimes he himself would make me the narration of the pain suffered by him. And I was so moved that I would cry bitterly. One day while working, I was considering the most bitter pains that my good Jesus suffered. I felt my heart so oppressed by the pain that I was out of breath. Fearing something, I wanted to distract myself by going out to the balcony. I go about looking in the middle of the street, but what do I see? I see the street all filled with people, and in the middle, my loving Jesus with the cross upon his shoulders. Some pulled him to one side, some to the other, all panting, with his face dripping with blood. He raised his eyes toward me in act of asking for my help. Who can say the sorrow I felt, the impression that a sight so pitiful made on my soul? I immediately went inside. I myself did not know where I was. I felt my heart split with pain. I shouted, crying. I said to him, my Jesus, if only I could help you, if only I could free you from those wolves so rabid. Ah, I wish at least to suffer those pains in your place, to give a relief to my sorrow. Oh, please, my good, giving me suffering, for it is so fair that you suffer so much, while I, a sinner, remain without suffering. From that time on, I remember that such a great yearning for suffering ignited within me that I had not dampened yet. I also remember that after communion, I would ardently pray him to concede me suffering and sometimes to content me. He seemed to take the thorns from his crown and prick my heart. Other times, I felt him take my heart in his hands and squeeze it so tightly that I felt faint for the pain. When I realized that people might notice something, and he was disposed to give me these pains, I would immediately say to him, Lord, what are you doing? I beg you to give me suffering, but that it be hidden to everyone. Up to a certain time, he made me content, but my sins have rendered me unworthy to suffer hidden without anyone noticing it. So here we have Louisa. She was still not sure if she was a teenager already, but she was more or less like in not sure if it was like 11 to 13 years old, more or less, when she first saw Jesus in that balcony. Um, and then we just read the way she saw Jesus, right? He was in the crowd and dripping with blood. And he told her, um, oh, well, he didn't say, but she shouted to him, my Jesus, if only I could help you, if only I could free you from those wolves so rabid.
I,
Do you remember how old Louisa was when she first saw Jesus in the balcony?
15 years old.
15 years old. Okay. Yeah, well, she was a teenager. Um, and then I don't know if you guys remember, but in the biography, um, there is something that that really comes to my mind right now, and is that she was very shy. She didn't like, nobody to see what was happening to her. She hid it. She was hidden by, from the rest of the people. And now she was telling Jesus that it was okay if he wanted to give her suffering, but nobody to notice it, even in this moment. Okay, if nobody else has to say anything, I can continue. Gabi wants to say something. Okay.
Yeah, just that this part, like the first paragraph, what gets me is that since the very beginning, Jesus is instilling in her heart, in Luis's heart, to suffer in his place, like to share his suffering. And how she says, "Oh, give me that suffering so you can rest." And that's what I think we should do also, like accept the suffering so he can give him rest.
Yeah, she asked. She said, "If only I would at least suffer those pains in your place." And then he
Yes.
said, "Yes."
And we have to become a victim souls
Mhm.
to alleviate the suffering that humanity caused to God.
Mhm.
Yes, like Jesus, like Luisa, very young when she accept this to this victim for Jesus. Very young.
And it is all the opposite of what we have been raised in a different way. Like, we avoid suffering, right? Humanity avoids suffering. And what we don't understand is that we should be happy, but the happiness that we should carry and have is a divine happiness, and it doesn't mean that we're not going to suffer. It's the opposite, because if we really want to live in the divine will, well, Jesus is how can I say this in English? It's his life, what we are going to have, and his life is a life of suffering, and it's there, it's constant, it will never go away. We just have to take it because he did it for us. Well, now we should unite our suffering with his suffering so they can have a really, really good meaning, and in all times, the effects of those suffering uh, will be good for all of us.
But here is a clue of everything, because Luisa suffered because her love for Jesus surpassed everything. And then she understood why Jesus is suffering. So Jesus opens to Luisa some parts that even we didn't know in that time. So we know now that he suffered even in his divinity. He suffered in his humanity, but the cause is because of us. So he suffered to the point of not understanding. When you read the 24 hours of the Passion of Jesus, you see how he prepared everything. Everything that happened was not done by the humans. He had planned everything to repair us for love of us. So at the end, if he suffered for me, why I should not suffer for him is the attitude of Luisa. So here is an understanding with great love that he couldn't find in any other creature in this time except Luisa, because he says he turned around the world looking for a soul. And at the end, he decided for Luisa's soul. So it is for me, it's amazing to how she, at this age, she accepts, and it's not just, there is no another answer. It's because of love.
And adding to what you just said, we can read again this sentence that says, "Who can say the sorrow I felt, the impression that a sight so pitiful made on my soul?" So Jesus, the love of Jesus struck her soul, made an impression in her, so she would understand, right? And she would have pity on him and what she was seeing.
Yeah, this vision marked her life.
Mhm. Okay, so let's continue reading. From that time on, I remember that such a great yearning for suffering. Oh, I think I did that one right. I remember that many times after communion, he said to me, "You will not be able to truly resemble me other than by means of sufferings." See? You will not be able to truly resemble me other than by means of sufferings. Up until now, I have been together with you. Now I want to leave you alone a little bit without letting myself be felt. See, up to now, I have led you by the hand, instructing you and correcting you in everything, and you have done nothing but follow me. Now I want you to do it by yourself. However, be more attentive than before, thinking that my gaze is fixed on you, though I do not let myself be heard, and that when I return to make myself heard, I will come either to reward you if you have been faithful to me, or to chastise you if you have been ungrateful to me. Interesting, right? Like in the Bible, we read that Jesus says, "Follow me." And here in the book of heaven, he is telling her, "You have done nothing but following me." But in the book of heaven later on, we will understand that when Jesus says, "Follow me," it doesn't mean like go besides him, walk besides him. Follow me means like take my life and live it. That's the way you will follow me. And there is something else here that he was telling her, that he was always with her, but that he was going to leave her a little bit, alone. And that's when she starts like saying, "No, please don't leave me. I want you to be always with me." And those are that the way she was feeling is that she was kind of attached to him already, but then he is showing her that the way that she should follow him is not being like, with him all the time, that she would follow him even if he wasn't there, because when he came back, he was going to, to tell her if she did good or not. So he would reward her, and he came back if she did good, but if not, he will tell her, "No, you did wrong." So this is the way Jesus also teaches us, right? We don't have to have him like all the time with us. Actually, we do have Jesus in the Holy Communion. That's when we really, really have him, right? The sacrament of the Holy Communion. But after 15 minutes, he's not there because we don't have the I cannot say the word in English. What he doesn't find what he needs to say. He needs to leave.
And
This expression is strong, the one at the beginning of this paragraph. You will not be able to truly resemble me other than by means of suffering. So he's not following him, as you said. Even though he is the way, doesn't mean that he goes after and we are following his steps. No, we are inside him, or he is inside us, and then we should resemble him.
Yes. So I would be so frightened and terrified. That's spooky. Upon such intimidation, I would say to him, Lord, my all in my life, how can I survive without you? Who will give me the strength? How can this be? After you have made me leave everything, so much so that I feel as if no one existed for me. You want to leave me alone and abandoned? Have you perhaps forgotten how bad I am, and that without you I can do nothing? And because of this objection, assuming a more serious look, he would add, the reason is that I want you to understand well who you are. See, I do this for your good. Do not be saddened. I want to prepare your heart to receive the graces which I have designed for you. Up until now, I have assisted you sensibly. Now, less sensibly, I will make you touch your nothingness with your own hand. I will fuse you thoroughly in profound humility in order to be able to build most high walls upon you. So instead of afflicting yourself, you should rejoice and thank me, because the more quickly I make you cross the stormy sea, the sooner you will reach the port of safety. The harder the trials to which I will submit you, the greater the graces I will give you. Courage, then courage, and I will come back soon. And in saying this, he seemed to bless me, and then he would leave. So it's a sensibility, right? He said, no, it's better for me not to be all the time with you, that you won't feel me all the time. So, but I will come back. But then he told her why was that he was doing it. And it's because he would make her touch her nothingness, right? And touch our nothingness is knowing that we are not nothing without him. And that is a profound humility when a soul, a person, a creature, a human being says, I am nothing. I am because you are in me.
listen, I want to prepare your heart to receive the graces which I have designed for you. And for us, it's Jesus who will instruct and correct us, no other person.
Mhm.
He will mark the path that we must live, that is people, thoughts, etc. and He will show us that we only need is His will. So simple, let us guide by Jesus.
Yes. Knowing that even if we don't feel him, to have the faith that he is there with us.
Yeah, we
Right?
have to have faith. It's so important.
Mhm.
This moment has three phrases very that makes me think. It says, Luisa says that how bad I am, and that without you, I can do nothing. And what Jesus answered, the reason is that I want you to understand well who you are. So understand well who you are. You are bad, you are nothing. So important to have it in mind when we reach this stage. I am nothing, you are all, I am bad. Everything is not done because of God. It's done because human wishes. So important at the beginning to know whom I am.
And then he gives her a clue, right? On that other sentence, he says, I want to prepare your heart to receive the graces which I have
Yeah.
designed for you. So that means in your
Uh-huh.
nothingness, I will give you graces.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have something, those graces are not going to be
Yeah.
upon you.
That is important to remember that with my nothingness, with my emptiness, I will get all that God contains,
Mhm.
all His graces.
And the one,
As Dr. Tomasini says, don't think what you will lose. Think on what
you
the
will
gains
gain.
are.
Mhm. And
And we will,
also those,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
no, and we will see who we are in the passion, in this continuous renunciation.
Mhm.
Mhm. Sorry.
No, it's okay. That is so true. Who can say the pain I felt, the void he left in my interior, the bitter tears I shed? But I would resign myself to his holy will. It seemed that far afar I would kiss his hand, which had blessed me, saying to him, Goodbye, O holy spouse, goodbye. I felt as if everything was over for me, because I had only him, and since he was missing, no other consolation was left to me. But everything would convert into most bitter pains. Even more creatures themselves would provoke my pain in such a way that all the things I would look at seemed to say to me, See, we are works of your beloved. And he, where is he? If I looked at the water, at the fire, at the flowers, and even at stones, immediately my thought would say, Ah, these are works of your spouse. Ah, they have the good of seeing him, and you do not see him. Oh, please, works of my Lord, give me news. Tell me, where is he? He told me he would come soon, but who knows when. At times, I would reach such bitter desolation that I would feel breathless, ice cold all over, and a shiver throughout my whole person. Sometimes my family would notice it. They attributed it to a corporal malady, and wanted to put me under treatment and call doctors. Sometimes they insisted so much that they succeeded, but I would do as much as I could to remain alone. So they noticed it only a few times. I remembered still all the graces, the words, the corrections, the reproaches, and I could see with a clear eye how all the work done until then, everything had been the works of His grace, and that there was nothing left of me but the mere nothing and the inclination to evil. I could touch with my own hand how, without Him, I could no longer feel love so sensibly, and those lights so clear during meditation, such that I would remain there for 2 or 3 hours. However, I did as much as I could in order to do whatever I used to do when I felt Him within me, because I felt those words being repeated to me. If you are faithful, I will come to reward you. If you are ungrateful, to chastise you. In this way, I would spend sometimes 2 days, sometimes 4, more or less, as He pleased. My only comfort was to receive Him in the sacrament. Ah, yes, certainly, I found Him there. I could not doubt, and I remember that only a few times He would not let Himself be heard, because I prayed Him and importuned Him so much that He would content me, however, not loving and lovable, but severe. After, I would spend those days in the state described above, especially if I had been faithful to Him. I would feel Him come back within me. He spoke to me more clearly, and since during the previous days I had not been able to conceive one word or feel anything within me, I came to know then that it was not my fantasy, as I would say many times before, so much so that of what has been said up to here, I would not say anything, either to the confessor or to any other living soul. But I did as much as I could to correspond to Him, otherwise He would wage such a war against me that I would not have peace. Ah, Lord, You have been so good to me, and I still so bad. Continue what I have started. I would feel Him within me. I would hug Him. I would clasp Him to myself and say to Him, Beloved good, see how bitter our separation has been for me. And He would say to me, What you have gone through is nothing yet. Prepare yourself for harder trials. This is why I have come, to dispose your heart and to fortify it. Now you will tell me everything you have gone through, your doubts and fears, all of your difficulties, that I may teach you to conduct yourself during my absence. So this is very important, right? That Jesus is her teacher. He is teaching her His ways. And then when He comes, he tells her what she needs to know. So when He's not there, she will know what to do in His absence. Because she didn't speak to nobody. She kept everything to her inside. Even to her confessor, she didn't say nothing to him. Later on, Jesus will tell her, you need to tell everything to the confessor. But at this moment in time, when she was 15 years old, she was so shy, she didn't want to say nothing to nobody, right? And He was coming back and forth, teaching her, right, His ways. So in order to give her a lot of graces, so when He wasn't with her, she will know what to do. I don't know if somebody else wants to add something.
Me, just to remark how close is Jesus from Luisa, that he says, now you will tell me everything you have gone through, your doubts, your and fears, all of your difficulties. And this is the kind of conversation he wants to have with us.
Yeah, he wants us to have
To make him company.
yeah, to make him company, and also to have this kind of conversation that is not only friendly, but it's like if he's
Confident.
confident, deep conversations, right? And to get close to him. So she would get more closer to him because he would give her like this attitude of a friendly attitude. Come to me that I will listen to what you have to say. Right? So I would make him the narration of my pains, telling him, Lord, you see, without you, I wasn't able to do anything good. The meditation, I did it all distracted, ugly, so much that I would not have the courage to offer it to you at communion. I was unable to stay there for hours, as when I could feel you. I saw myself alone. I had no one with whom to converse. I felt completely empty. The pain of your absence made me experience mortal agonies. My nature wanted to hurry up so as to escape that pain, more so since it seemed to me that I would do nothing but waste time with the fear that in coming back you might chastise me because I had not been faithful. So I didn't know what to do. And then the pain that you were continually offended and of not knowing when to do, as you taught me before, those acts of reparation, those visits to the most holy sacrament for the different offenses you received. Tell me a little bit, then what should I have done? And he, benignly instructing me, would say, you were wrong in being so disturbed. Don't you know that I am spirit of peace? And the first thing I recommend is that you do not perturb the peace of your heart. When in prayer you are not able to recollect yourself, I do not want you to think of this or that, of how it is or how it is not, because by doing so, you yourself cause a distraction. See, this is very important. Many times when we're praying, we feel distracted, and many times we say, but why am I distracted? And then we keep on like thinking, how can I avoid that? And da da da. But Jesus just told him, no, don't think about that, because thinking about that is a distraction. You're asking yourself questions that you should not be asking yourself. So instead, when you find yourself in that state, the first thing is to humble yourself, confessing yourself as deserving of those pains, placing yourself in the arms of the executioner, like a humble little lamb that while he kills it, licks his hand. So you, while seeing yourself beaten, disheartened, alone, you will resign yourself to my holy dispositions. You will thank me for wholeheartedly. You will kiss that hand of mine that strikes you, recognizing yourself unworthy of those pains. Then you will offer me those bitterness, anguishes, tediums, praying me to accept them as a sacrifice of praise, of satisfaction for your sins, of reparation for the offenses that they give me. By doing so, your prayer will ascend before my throne as most fragrant incense. It will wound my heart, and you will draw new graces and new charisma upon yourself. In seeing you humble and resigned, all sunken into your nothingness, the devil will not have the strength to get close. And here is how, where your thought and you were losing, you will make great gains. Well, this is the way Jesus taught her, like the first ABC lessons, right? So if she was distracted, don't think about your distraction. What you should do instead of that, humble yourself and then confess that you are deserving the pain that is giving you to be distracted. That's what I want you to, because then even more, a little further, he says, you will resign yourself to my holy dispositions, because sometimes those are dispositions that the Lord gives us, in order to give us more graces, because we're going to exert our humbleness and we're going to tell him, I deserve the way I feel, right? Here I am. Without you, I'm nothing. If you're not here, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to pray. I don't know how to do what you taught me. Please stay with me.
I
And
think
then
this
he said to, yes.
this important. Don't you know that I'm a spirit of peace? And the first thing I recommend is that you do not disturb the peace of the heart. And we have to remain in continuous peace and not be distracted by anything, by no one, and remain in this continuous peace. This is important,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what.
Well, Jesus is peace, right?
Yes.
And then at the end of this paragraph, it says the devil will not have the strength to get close. Of course not. A heart that's in peace, a soul that's in peace, the devil will not get close to it, because the spirit of peace is Jesus, and the devil cannot get near Jesus.
Yeah.
And then he says, where you thought that you were losing, you will make great gains. So humble yourself. Tell me what's happening. Say that you deserve the pain. Confess that you deserve the pain that you're feeling, and I will give you the graces that you need. And then even he says, you should place yourself in the arms of the executioner, like a humble little lamb, while he kills it, licks his hand.
Yeah. He's teaching Lisa to detach herself through suffering.
Mm-hmm. And no matter what suffering it is,
Yes.
we should have this in mind, right? Be humble, like a little lamb,
Mhm.
while we're suffering, while they're hitting us, while they're doing whatever they are doing to us. We should lick their hands, because many times it's God's disposition to give us a lot of more graces.
Many times people humiliate us and don't accept this humiliation, you know? And that's what Jesus say. Stay humble like a lamb.
Mm-hmm.
It's so
Exactly.
difficult, you know, in the practice it's so difficult.
It is.
So it is.
It is, because we take it personal.
Yes, for our human will. It's very
Mhm.
difficult to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very important to make this, to have the key for this divine will. It's the key for the divine will.
Mm-hmm. With regard to communion, I do not want you to afflict yourself because you are not able to stay there. Know that this is a shadow of the pains I suffered in Gethsemane. What will happen what will happen when I make you share in the scourges and thorns and the nails? The thought of greater pains will make you suffer the minor pains with no courage. So when during communion you find yourself alone, agonizing, think that I want you a little bit as company in my agony in the garden. Therefore, place yourself near me and make a comparison between your pains and mine. See you alone and without me, and I too alone, abandoned by my most faithful friends who are there sleeping, left alone even by my divine Father, and then in the midst of most bitter pain, surrounded by snakes, by vipers, by rabid dogs, which were the sins of men, and yours were there too, doing their part, such that they seemed to want to devour me alive. My heart was taken by such grips that I felt it is as if it were under a press. So much so that I sweat living blood. Tell me, when have you arrived at suffering so much? Therefore, when you find yourself without me, afflicted, empty of any consolation, filled with sadness, with worries, with pains, come close to me, wipe that blood from me, offer those pains to me as relief for my most bitter agony. By doing so, you will find a way to be able to remain with me after communion. It is not that you will not suffer, because the most bitter pain I can give to the souls dear to me is to deprive them of me. But by thinking that with that suffering of yours, you give relief to me, and you will also be content. I guess that she got distracted in communion or suffered a lot, right? Because of what she was feeling. And then Jesus taught her, well, instead of looking at you, look at me and go to Gethsemane and accompany me. And then at the end, he says, because that bitter most pain that you have is, I give them to those souls that are dear to me, and to deprive them from me. But by thinking that with that suffering of yours, you give relief to me, and you will also be content. So that suffering, we should offer it to Jesus in the sufferings that he has, and that will relieve him.
And it's giving a clue here for the pains. The thought of greater pains will make you suffer the minor pains with more courage.
Our pains are nothing compared to his, right?
So here, makes me like, I have a question, because I have never thought about this, but like you were saying, Mirta, that we were raised in a different way. That I have heard a lot, and I have even said it, that I'll talk to Jesus. He wants to. He knows what you're going through, but he wants to hear it from you. So when we pray, when we used to pray, we used to give him a long list of our pains and sufferings. But reading at this part, I gather that no, that's not what he wants. So we could say that, could we say that that's not what he wants from us? That he does, by giving him of this list of things that make us suffer, that 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 is like seeing ourselves, and he doesn't want that. I don't know if I'm explaining myself.
Well, as I see it, is that we should take everything like if it's like his a disposition of him to us, so we can he can give us more graces. So you're talking about like many times we kind of talk to him about all our sufferings and everything, but in the divine will we don't talk about our sufferings. If we talk about our other sufferings to Jesus, we thank him for our sufferings because those sufferings are not ours. Those sufferings
Okay.
are Jesus' sufferings, right? That in his will, he disposes for us to feel that pain, but that pain belongs to him. That pain that is not ours. That pain is his pain. So what we do is we unite that pain that we feel to his pains, and we console him in that way. So in the divine will, nothing is about us. Everything is about Jesus. We have to set aside our ego and say, no, this is what that thing that hurt me, that whatever that person did to me, that was not done to me. That was done to Jesus.
To him. Yeah.
So I don't
And
know if that explains what you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It
and
does.
the
It's
and the
just
paragraph before
Mhm.
has some steps that we could do in the situation of sufferings, because he says uh, the first thing is humble yourself. Isn't at the middle of the paragraph that we read before, the one who start, you were wrong in being so disturbed.
Mhm.
At the middle it says, the first thing is to humble yourself, confessing yourself as deserving of those pains,
Mhm.
placing yourself in the arms of the executioner, like the lamb in the hands of the killer. And then he says, you will resign yourself to my holy dispositions. You will thank me. You will kiss the hand of mine that strikes you, recognizing yourself unworthy of those pains. Doesn't say the bigger, the little. And then you will offer to me those bitterness, anguishes, stadiums, praying me to accept them as a sacrifice of price. All these steps we should to follow when we are suffering.
exactly.
And as Alpare says, it's not easy. The practice is not easy
Oh yeah.
because when somebody offends us, the first thing that we think is they did it to me, and then we kind of react with our ego, right?
But
But
we should to try that this first thing that is human just last the less.
Yeah. There was an instance where somebody was like really mean to me.
Mhm.
And like before the divine will, I used to like whoever did it to me will pay.
Mhm.
But it was after the divine will that after they were like super mean, like they made me almost cry. And the only thing I thought about was, okay, I deserve this.
Mhm.
So what do you want to teach me, Lord, that this person's doing these to us, to me, and to him? So I have always been so proud, and that's something that I have to keep working on. But in them being that way with me, that put me in my place. That okay, what lesson are you gonna teach me? And like that with everything that happened to us, we have to take it as Lupita said, like that is coming from him.
Mhm. And thank you for that, because it's something that we deserve, right?
Yes, and thank the person
Mhm.
for doing that to us, because in doing that, they're getting us closer to him.
Mhm. And then when we understand this, we follow Jesus, and we take his attitude as our attitude. And what we do is what he did, and what he keeps on doing is that, just like it says here, it says, humble little lamb, while he kills it, and then the lamb kisses his hand.
Mm.
And that's what we do. We kiss the hand of the person that is
Yes.
killing our pride,
Mhm.
right? Because that is the thing, is that person that is hurting us is killing our pride.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks God that that person is killing our pride, because that's where Jesus can do his work in us, when we recognize that we're nothing, our nothingness.
We have to say thank you for this humiliation and
Thank him
Mm-hmm.
for that humiliation. It's already 7:00.
shut our mouths
And what?
and shut our mouths.
Yes. Well, just like Jesus did, in the 24 hours of the Passion,
Yes,
that's what he did
Yeah.
exactly.
yes.
He
Be
didn't say
quiet.
nothing. Be
Yeah.
quiet, because what we was doing was repairing, and that's what we should be doing as well, repairing, right?
Yes, repair.
Yes.
Instead of talking back, we just stay silent,
Yeah.
and being silent talks more than saying anything.
Don't talk and reparation, only reparation.
Mhm.
It's very difficult to in practice,
Yeah,
sometimes, but we need to do that for love of Jesus. It's only for love, always.
exactly. Mhm. And it doesn't hurt when we do it for the love of Jesus. It's
Yes,
the opposite. It gives us like a great satisfaction inside, and we feel like free, because our heart is full of love
And in peace.
and in
and
peace.
peace. Yes.
Mhm. So we're going to stop here because it's already 7:00. And we will continue next week unless somebody else has something to add.
No.
I think the deprivation of Him in us helps us to abandon ourselves more fully in Him, because it makes us feel ourselves more with God and love Him more. It's like a dark night. We will have to find His life in us, and we should not look for Him anywhere
Mhm.
and in another person. Only
Mhm.
find the real life in
Mhm.
us, obviously with Him.
Mhm.
But sometimes we can try to find another person in I don't know, in pray or something. But no, it's God in us only. And we
And when he comes to visit us in a person that is saying bad things to us or mean things to us, when he comes to visit us through that person, we should act with his attributes, the way he acts, with pardon, right, with forgiveness and with love. And that's when really Jesus is free in us,
yeah,
and we let him speak and we let him be. But if we pay back or if we speak back, then what's happening is that we're not letting Jesus release himself, release his attributes through us. So something to think about, right? How we react to the external things.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Let's continue next Wednesday with Fiat.